Hello, movie friends. Welcome back to the show. It's another Tuesday. That means another House of the Dragon review, and this episode was excellent.
We had so much going on, plus a major new player politically in terms of scheming.
We have a new Littlefinger.
Basically, at the end of the episode. Yeah. But real quick, I want to go over a bunch of new characters that we're introduced to because obviously this was the first episode with the time jump, and now Rhaenyra is a mother and Daemon's a father. So we have a bunch of new Valyrian and Targaryen kids that we have to be introduced to. So Rhaenyra's children are named Jacaerys, Lucerys, and her new son, who was born at the beginning of the episode, Joffrey Valerian. And then we got our first glimpse at Aegon Targaryen, who looks just like Mike from Stranger Things with blonde hair.
I was like, is that Mike from Stranger Things?
Is that Finn Wolfhard? And then Aemon's a Targaryen as his younger brother. And then we have children for Daemon and his wife, Laena. We have Rhaena Targaryen as well as Baela Targaryen. So a bunch of new Valyrian Targaryen kids all introduced to the show, which makes me excited for the length of the show and to watch these kids grow up and become major players in the game.
And now it totally makes sense why they had to get new actors for both Alicent and Rhaenyra, because the other two actors, they would have looked like the same age as their kids if they played their mothers, whereas Emma D'Arcy and Olivia Cook, they look like young 30s. They could have 3 kids by now. Like our mom had 6 kids by 28. So it makes total sense that 2 women in their early 30s would have multiple kids, some of them in their teenage years. So they had to cast older actresses. The other 2 were just too young looking, even if I'm not sure their exact ages, but even if they were in their mid-20s, they look too young.
I think they're about 20, 21, something like that.
So the kids, like Aegon would have looked like
the same age as Rhaenyra.
Yeah, so they had to.
Now, Olivia Cook and Emma D'Arcy have taken over the roles of Alicent Hightower and Princess Rhaena Targaryen, plus a lot of
Rhaenyra.
the main... I'm sorry, Princess Rhaenyra. What did I say?
Rhaenyra.
Sorry, we're getting so many names. Most of the actors and characters have remained the same. Obviously, Paddy Considine is almost at his full evolution of becoming Gollum.
Oh my God, he looks so old.
As Viserys Targaryen.
Poor guy.
Matt Smith obviously is reclaiming his role. So a lot of the actors are the same. Kristen Cole, same actor and everything like that.
But what's good, Kristen Cole, that actor, he seems older.
Exactly.
The actor did a great job of seeming very youthful, and now he seems very mature. Just the way he moves and speaks he seems much more mature.
Daemon's wife, Lady Laena Valerian, is now played by Nana Blondell. And then who else do we have that had an age change? Rhaenyra's husband, who is now played by, give me one second.
Laenor.
John McMillan. So lots of new actors, older actors stepping in for the roles of these characters who have gone through quick, major changes in their time jumps.
It's interesting that the show opened with a pregnancy from Rhaenyra, because it's like not what she wanted, but then we realized that she has now 3 kids at such a young age, so she did become someone who has produced a lot of offspring, which isn't what she wanted when she was younger.
There's so much controversy with her offspring, and this episode has 2 births, one successful at the beginning, which I thought was an incredible opening to this episode. We have this emotional birth from Rhaenyra, and then an incredible long take that must have lasted a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes long, of her and Laenor making their way from the birthing chamber all the way to Alicent's chamber. All one take, didn't cut until we were in the room with Alicent. It was incredible filmmaking and huge sets. And Laenor named the boy Joffrey after his former lover, who Kristen Cole beat to death in that wedding sequence.
To a bloody pulp.
Oh my goodness. So obviously, the biggest controversy in King's Landing that no one wants to talk about for the last 10 years almost is that Rhaenyra is clearly not making children with Laenor and instead has been having a secret affair with Harwin, who is the son of the Hand of the King, Lionel, and brother to Linus, the conniving Littlefinger type character. Larys,
Just think Larry, but Game of Thrones' version of Larry.
Larys.
The name's Larry.
Lionel is the Hand of the King,
yes.
And then Harwin is the brother.
Yeah, the commander of the City Watch, and he seems
clearly
like a good dad.
He's clearly the dad too.
Yeah, for someone who can't be around, he seems like he cares about the kids. You know what I mean?
And this is the biggest controversy that's reigning over Rhaenyra and also over their house, the Lionel and his house and his family, and everyone knows it. Everyone sees it with their eyes, except for Viserys, who is willfully blind, which is a common phrase said in this episode.
It's like Jaime and Cersei being together. Like, everybody knew it, but no one ever did anything about it.
Exactly.
Same kind of thing.
So it's a huge controversy because this spoils the supposed marriage pact that was created by the Velaryons and the Targaryens, and I'm so curious. We didn't get Lord Corlys in this episode, what his thoughts on this matter are.
Yeah, and also the kids they don't even look like Targaryens. They don't have blonde hair. They have dark brown hair, and so the strong genes basically took over in terms of what the kids look like. They look like the father.
The dark hair, they look just like Harwin.
Yeah, it's like black of hair.
And everyone's making fun of the fact that, like, oh, maybe you'll finally have, maybe next time you'll have a child who resembles Laenor. And I love Daemon says, does he resemble the Night's Watch leader?
The City Watch commander. Alicent wants her out, though. Alicent is bloodthirsty. But like she has a point. She's like, this is like not the way this is not the way it should be done. Like, we are like high society families. We're very important families. Like, we can't be breeding. We need to make our own kin, essentially, is what she's saying. And she's trying to convince Viserys to see it, but Viserys knows it, but he won't accept it.
Well, Alicent's just more worried about the political ramifications of not committing to the deal that they made with Corlys and the Velaryons, because they're supposed to be making heirs that are of Velaryon blood and Targaryen blood, but they are not Velaryon, clearly.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough situation for Corlys because this might make him rebel. I mean, I don't know. We don't know if he's seen the kids yet. He must have.
He has to.
He has to.
We'll find out. But again, we haven't watched the teaser.
You know, he's like, oh, man, we can't even make a kid with they can't even make one of my own kin. This was the whole plan. This was the deal. So, I would see Lord Corlys being motivated to rebel against Westeros.
Same, and I can see him continuing and making another pact with Daemon, who clearly fulfilled his oath of birthing children with Laena. And he seems like a completely changed man, Daemon. He seems like fatherhood has subdued him or just made him calmer. And he's kind of just like he's like sort of a Marcus Aurelius type at the end of his reign, where he's just a philosopher. He's just poring over the history of Westeros and the Targaryens and won't leave the library. And he doesn't want to go back to the politics of Westeros. He's contemplating accepting that juicy offer to remain wherever they are. I can't remember what city they are in, and just basically be the protectors and make a deal with them for gold. And he's like, we don't have to go back to the politics and like
basically be like a mercenary for hire with their dragons.
And they don't have to worry about anything, and they don't have to worry about getting assassinated or death or vying for the throne. He seems like a completely changed man until the end of the episode.
Yeah, it seems like he has accepted his defeat in some capacity, because he was vying for the throne in the first several episodes, and then now so much time has passed, and it looks like he might be learning from the other Targaryen lords and leaders, but it seems like he's kind of gave up on trying to get the throne, and then maybe his wife's death will reignite his desire for being in power. It looks like he doesn't even want power anymore in this episode. I think it's because he lost all of his plans, failed in the first few episodes, and so he might have just been like, oh, damn, screw it. I'm just going to live fat and happy and be rich and powerful elsewhere. But then his wife's death during childbirth, I think, changed him. And also they had a couple of great dialogue scenes together where I think she kind of reignited his passion maybe for trying to become a leader in Westeros.
That's what enticed her to him.
Yeah, exactly. That's
old
what,
Daemon.
Yeah, exactly. Like when he showed up at the wedding celebration, she was like, "Oh, this guy's cool."
We all felt that.
And what's interesting is the childbirth sequence for Laena was identical to Viserys' wife's in the opening of the show, and Daemon was given the exact same choice as Viserys of cutting open the mother to try and save the child, even though that wasn't 100% going to succeed. And where Viserys agreed to do it to save the heir, Daemon said, no, I don't want to do that. And then then Laena, without him knowing, decided to commit suicide rather than having her and both her child suffer. She asked her dragon to kill them.
She went out on her own terms, and you have to respect Daemon for not making the same mistake that Viserys did, because Viserys was so desperate for an heir. and he had only daughters. He wanted a son. Daemon, even though he has daughters, he was not desperate to just to have, I need a son. He wanted to say, you can tell it. I don't know if they loved each other, Laena and Daemon. Maybe there was love there, but they both understood their situation at the same time. Even she says it on the rooftop, like, I've made peace with my decision, with our wedding and our political arrangement. They seem to care for each other very much, and that's why Daemon, I think, just doesn't decide to have her killed to save or potentially save the child.
Well, yeah, I mean, she kind of tamed him for a bit,
a little
in
bit.
Way.
I don't know if she tamed him, but I think fatherhood tamed him.
In-laws.
But we also don't know. Maybe he's just been patient and biding his time.
I think failure really affected him. It seems like it.
Or losing Rhaenyra.
Losing everything, losing Rhaenyra, and also losing his vie for the throne. I think all of his plans failing kind of made him basically escape into, and like he's like self-imposed exile upon himself. You know what I mean?
In a way, yeah. But I would say that even though his wife has now passed and she died, now opens up maybe the potential possibility to be reunited with Rhaenyra.
And he's got 3 dragon riders on his side.
And I guarantee he forms an alliance with Lord Corlys, because I've seen a still from the next episode, and he seems to be surrounded by the Valerians and his family as well.
Yeah.
So it seems like maybe they potentially go see them to Driftwood. And maybe
it's got to be, yeah.
Maybe there's going to be a new play for the throne, or maybe a war between them all, because we're still waiting for the big civil war to happen, right? For the Targaryen civil war. So I guarantee this is maybe starting to get things rolling finally.
My guess is this season will be the catalyst for the war, and we'll see like the beginnings of it. But it would make sense because he had Valerian children, so Corlys would be like, yeah, these are my kin. Whereas if he goes to Rhaenyra's kids, he's like, these aren't my grandchildren. They aren't Valerian. They're Targaryen, but they're not Valerian. So why would I be committed to this house and committed to the realm?
Yeah, Lord Corlys only made the deal on the assumption in pact that they would be of Valyrian blood as well. He even seceded the fact that they would be Targaryen named as they assumed the throne. He accepted that. He accepted those terms as long as his blood was on the throne and his blood were heirs, but his blood is not going to be on the throne through Rhaenyra's bloodline.
Yeah, it's really complicated. It seems like it's going to be those two allying together. And so we have that.
So much drama. And there's still so much to talk about from this episode.
And I like Alicent. I think that she's become a really strong person. She seems to exert a lot of dominance over the king and over rooms. She's very vocal on the council. And people seem to fear her in a lot of ways, like when they see her in a room. And she seems to be probably one of the strongest characters right now. I think she learned, because she was kind of like, yes, she was playing her part when she was younger. But she wasn't as vocal and was a little more passive, and she would kind of accept things and kind of just have to be like, I can't do anything about it. But now she's extremely vocal and basically controls every room she's in a lot of ways.
And she's a schemer now. When she wasn't really in her youth. It's not until that conversation she had with her father, Otto, at the beginning of episode 5, where she understood her situation and the situation of her sons. And then that's obviously when she walks in on Aegon, who's, doing a deed outside the window.
I love Aegon. He's
very
funny.
Succession-like.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Succession?
He's Romulus.
He's Romulus. Because he doesn't understand. Aegon doesn't understand yet the position he's in. He is the challenge for the throne for the eventual situation where Viserys passes and Rhaenyra is going to be queen. She's trying to get him to understand, just because you're friends with your cousins and you all get along to an extent, I mean, besides that pig joke on Aemon, which was so mean and funny at the same time. They put wings and a tail on it. They're going to be bloodthirsty for the throne. And even though Viserys is he's willfully blind. He's watching them fight together and learn fighting from Kristen Cole together and seeing like they're going to form a lifelong bond. There's no way they won't be best friends. It's like, yeah, right, bro. Wait until they're actually adults and going for the throne. They're going to be cutthroat and trying to take each other out.
They're going to be warring, because Viserys is going to die eventually. He seems to be, and I didn't even realize his arm was gone until like the second scene, because they kind of hit it in his first scene where he took the babe.
Yeah, but then there's a great wide shot.
And then you see the wide. You're like, oh my god, one of his arms is gone. So they just chopped it off, and he's so pale and weak, and his hair's almost gone. He's really very close to death. He's gonna die very soon. He's definitely gonna die in this season. He has to. And then what's gonna happen? Because Rhaenyra is the heir, the named heir, but Alicent is like, you have betrayed your duties, you betrayed the throne, and you have begun an incestuous affair, an affair with someone who isn't even of Valyrian blood. So that could result in Rhaenyra's death and the death of her children. So they shouldn't. I think Alicent's viewing it as she should not be allowed to be queen once Viserys passes because she has betrayed the realm and betrayed her duty as a princess and as the named heir. So Alicent sees it as she can't be the queen. It has to be my family, and it has to be Aegon.
And Rhaenyra, at the end of the episode, takes Laenor's advice of being a sailor and sailing and avoiding the storm, that's the approaching storm, and they're going to run away to Dragonstone for the time being.
Where I think that Rhaenyra, at the end of this episode, she's starting to begin a plan of, I need to build my own army, I need to build my own loyal following, and then I can make a play for the throne. Because she's very vulnerable here. She has nothing except for her title, which will be basically worthless once Alicent goes after her, once Viserys dies. So I think Rhaenyra's realizing, I need to have a force behind me if I'm going to make a play for the throne.
Now let's get to some more even juicy stuff that happened this episode. So this character, Larys, who you could tell at some point in the season was going to be a major factor because he kind of just showed up and was in major scenes where you didn't really know who he was.
Once his dad got promoted, then he showed up.
So his father is Hand of the King, Lionel, who tries to resign his position because he understands, they all know that Harwin is really the father of Rhaenyra's children, and he tries to resign his post because he can no longer give objective and non-biased counsel to the King Viserys.
He's the best Hand of the King since Ned.
He really is. He has been terrific.
Well, actually, Tyrion was a great Hand of the King, too.
Oh, yeah, when he eventually became...
Yeah, there's been a lot of good
Although
Hand of the
Tyrion
Kings.
did make poor decisions sometimes that were unbiased.
He did save the city, though.
True.
He saved the city.
True. Anyways, that takes place for a couple hundred years away.
Yeah, I'm getting ahead of myself.
Way ahead of yourself. But there's also the son, Larys, who is Harwin's brother, who's just been in the ear of Alicent, you can tell, for the last 10 years. They have dinner together. I wonder how many private meetings they have. They spill gossip with each other, and they scheme together. And Alicent obviously brings up the issue between Rhaenyra and Harwin several times, and he knows this. Larys knows this, and Larys takes it upon himself to, after Harwin is exiled to their palace with his father, Lionel takes him there. He kills his own father and his own brother.
Burns his castle to the ground,
in order to basically blackmail Alicent into a major favor later on, and to basically blackmail her into being desperate. I mean, not desperate, being what's the word I'm thinking of? Beholden to him, or
yeah. I owe you.
Yeah, she owes him.
Yeah, it's a big IOU.
There's a word.
It's a big IOU.
That's a car. You might want to hold on to that one.
Ferrari. And it's because it solves Alicent's problem. But I like how Alicent was like, I didn't ask you to friggin' murder them. Are you insane? And Larys, he seems like he's our Littlefinger, because in the first couple of episodes that he was in, he just had minor conversations. But he's a very good actor. And I was like, there's a reason why this character is showing up.
I think specifically the hunt in the episode 2, I think he was talking with the queen and all those other royal women. And I'm like, who is this
in the
guy?
Gossip circle.
Yeah.
And then he spoke to Alicent in the Sacred Garden. And he seems like he's going to be such a huge player in the show now. And he's got this bumblebee symbology. There's like the bee on his staff, and then his followers when he cuts out their tongues and recruits them for the job.
I screamed.
What a great, you were screaming.
I was like, I don't want to watch.
It was great. It was so cool. And then those were his little assassins that killed the Strong family. They had little bumblebee emblems on their chests. So must be the sign of his. I'm not sure if it's the sign of the House of Strong. I'll have to look into it, but maybe it's like his own little custom-made sigil that he prepared for himself. Like, I love bumblebees, but it might be the sigil for House Strong, but I'll have to look it up.
Maybe.
But I think he's going to be a great character. He's really fascinating, and it seems like it's an ally that you don't want because you can't trust him, and he's unpredictable. And he seems to be probably the most intelligent person in the show so far.
And he killed his own family.
Yeah, ruthless.
Burn them alive.
Yeah.
His brother and his father.
I understand if you don't really like your brother, your dad, but like to murder them. Oh my god,
it's insane.
It's crazy.
It blew my mind. It was such a great third act of this episode. It was incredible.
But yeah, he's laying out his schemes. I think he's gonna be very dangerous. Even though he's an ally with Alicent, he's still dangerous to her.
There was also a ton of dragons in this episode. I love Daemon and Laena riding their dragons together, and Laena had the largest had the largest dragon in Westeros.
Yeah,
huge. And obviously, there's a theme of dragons take a while to hatch, and it's unpredictable when they do hatch. And some of the Targaryens and Valerians have dragons, some of them don't. So Aemon does not have a dragon; his egg has not hatched yet. Same with Daemon's daughter. Which one? I think it was
the younger one.
Hold on, give me one sec. So many new names. His daughter, Rhaena Targaryen. So, or is it Rhaena and Baelor?
Yeah, it's Rhaena.
Rhaena's the one whose dragon hasn't hatched yet.
Yeah, she's the one by the fireplace.
And her father, I mean, her mother tells her that her egg didn't hatch till she was 15, and now she has the largest dragon in Westeros. And same thing with Aemon. He seems to feel less of a Targaryen because his dragon has not hatched yet. And Daemon obviously pays closer attention to his daughter who has the hatched egg. The other one feels like he hardly notices her, but I think that'll probably change. So I like the thematic element of the dragon eggs hatch when they're ready, and you have to wait. You don't just get a dragon right away.
Yeah, and it could be like, I think Targaryens who really believe in their history and traditions, they might view it as the gods haven't chosen them to be like a full-blooded Targaryen. Maybe it's like it wasn't meant to be for them to have dragons, so maybe that's why he views the other. That's why he gives more attention to the sister to the daughter who has a dragon, because she's like a fully formed Targaryen. But also, her mother tells her that she didn't get her dragon until she was 15, so she's still much younger than 15.
Oh, there's also another Targaryen kid that we forgot to bring up. So Princess Helena Targaryen, the daughter of Alicent and Viserys, was in this episode as well.
Oh yeah, with the bugs.
Yeah,
she like loves the
big centipede.
Yeah, the millipede. Yeah, and Alicent's like, so you like bugs?
We got a quick shot of Jason Lannister. He's in the council now, so I'm sure we'll get more of the Lannister family here. Otto Hightower was not in this episode. I'm sure he will be. I'm sure he'll.
Did you watch the trailer for the rest of the? No, they released a trailer that's like a rest of the season trailer. And it looks great.
I've just seen some stills and any other new characters to talk about of notability. Just a bunch of other people. I think that wraps up this episode, though.
Yeah. So, but I think all the new cast members are terrific. Even I think the relationship with Rhaenyra and Laenor is really great. That new actor has been doing a solid job, and it's a complex marriage they have. There's no love between them. It's just arrangement, and she kind of wakes him up into being like, he's like, I've been committed to this. I've been here for 10 years. She's like, you've been just like living it up and spending money and sleeping with guys and just like eating and drinking to your fill and just enjoying the life of a wealthy elitist and not really being committed to this partnership that we agreed upon. And so I think they had a great conflict, and then eventually they seem to make amends by the end.
She orders him that you have to stay here.
But there's a lot of conflict, but by the end, she's like, we're leaving, but take your lover with you. That was a sign of respect and a sign of, I need you, but I also want you to still be happy and live your life in some capacity, even though we won't be in King's Landing anymore. And so it looks like their partnership, it had a rough patch for sure, especially because he was often drunk when he's around her, but it seems like they're going to become much closer allies in their marriage. Is going to be a little stronger politically going forward.
Show's getting better and better every week. The episodes are just knocking me back, man.
Yeah, and then it's at first a little weird without the other actresses, but it's like within 10 minutes you're like, okay, these are the new actors.
Both are tremendous actresses, but Emma D'Arcy really does a great little smirk that Millie Alcock was doing, like a little side smirk with just a corner of her mouth. She's like doing the same mannerisms that she was doing, which is really like making me the transition really seamless for me.
Yeah, 100%. And also, Olivia Cooke has a much deeper voice than the other actress, so it feels like she's aged a lot. You know what I mean?
Great performances. Yeah. The show is excellent. This wraps our episode on episode 6 of House of the Dragon.
There's still 5 more.
The Princess and the Queen. Lots happening. Already lost some major players. Disappointed that we lost Harwin and Lionel and Lena already, but hey, it is what it is. It's Game
they're
of
just
Thrones.
offering people. Oh my
That's
God.
what happens in the show. Make sure to stay tuned for next week on Tuesday, episode 7 of House of the Dragon Review. We did Scott Pilgrim vs. the World yesterday, if you want to check that out. And this Thursday, we have an episode on Scarface coming out.
Say hello to my little friend.
Take care, everybody. Thank you for watching Raiders of the Lost podcast. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button as well, notifications for sure. Listen to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, everywhere you can listen to podcasts, and be sure to check out this other content we have on our YouTube channel.